right, let's deal with the elephant in the room. Donald Trump told people to ingest disinfectant. This is what he said. It was not a joke. Nobody thought it was a joke. He just made that up afterwards to cover himself once he found out how stupid of a thing he actually said. Think about this. People are now trying to invoke the 25th Amendment, which means getting rid of someone because they're essentially getting rid of a standing president because they are mentally incompetent. And frankly, that would describe the entirety of Trump's administration. Now, I'm not saying this as a leftist. I'm saying this as someone who is capable of rational thought. This is bad. This president has made some of the stupidest decisions possible, to the point of being antagonistic towards the very people he said he was trying to help. I could go into the history of all of this, the idiocy of assassinating Soleimani, and all the incredibly dumb things that he has said in the past. What's important here is that he is stupid. He is incompetent, and he is unfit for leadership of a corporation, a lemonade stand, let alone President of the United States. And the GOP are such pussy-whipped little bitches, forgive the term, I can't think of any other way to put it, that none of them are going to come out and say something. Somebody made a really good point. Look what a controversy it was. Because one time Obama wore a tan suit to a White House press briefing. And the GOP wailed about that. But the President of the United States just told people to ingest disinfectant, and they've got nothing to say. Because they're afraid of offending Emperor Dum Dum. That poor woman, probably everybody has seen this footage by now of the woman standing there, the scientific advisor to Trump, and the reaction on her face when he told people to ingest disinfectant. I place some of that blame on her. She should have said something. If she's the scientific advisor, she should have said, no, don't do that. It's wrong. The United States of America is a country where 13% of the population legitimately believes that chocolate milk comes from brown cows. We're an increasing number of Americans, I believe it was, I can't remember the exact number, I think it was like 30, believe that the sun revolves around the earth. There are people who are stupid enough to do this. And watching conservatives try to defend this by saying, oh, it was just a prank, bro. Or some of them saying, oh, I wonder how many Democrats went out and did this just to try to discredit the president. I mean, that's the lamest goddamn excuse to try to cover up his stupidity that I've ever heard. Nobody with even a modicum of sense can possibly even defend him at this point. What he said is monstrously stupid, and there is no justification for this. There is no claiming he made a mistake or that he was doing it just to be funny. Nobody thought it was funny. Nobody took it as a joke. Absolutely fucking nobody thought it was a joke. Until he claimed it was, and then the goddamn mindless drones that support him started repeating that verbatim like the goddamn fucking parrots that they are. I'm sorry for this rant, but it needs to be said. This really isn't a news video, it's just a rant. But saying this is so goddamned important. The point of any presidency, the point of any government in capitalism is to regulate the contradictions in capitalism. At what point does even the ruling class, I mean, the GOP are cowards. They won't say anything against him. But at what point does the ruling class finally say, this guy is incompetent, he needs to go? He is a danger to the system. He's destructive for it. The point of the president is to hold things together by navigating those contradictions, by trying to cohesively pull different interests together to make the country work, to make the system work. He doesn't do that. He's a destructive force. It is self-destructive of capitalism to have him in this leadership role. And they still won't do anything about him. His incompetence at dealing with the COVID-19 outbreak is doing untold damage to the economy that could have been avoided. The bourgeoisie don't do things because they're evil. They do it because it's profit-centric. They do it because it is profitable to do so, even if it is monstrously evil. And the sheer incompetence of Trump is astounding. He categorically failed to deal with this crisis. He literally went on to claim that the crisis didn't even exist. On March 24th, they had 957 deaths. April 24th, there are now 50,000 deaths, which is more than the number of people that die from the regular flu, because it's just a flu, bro. And he claimed it wasn't real. He legitimately claimed that it wasn't real, that it was a hoax perpetuated by the Democrats to try to undermine his presidency. And when it became impossible to deny the impact of COVID-19, he blamed China. Think about the two-faced nature of that, and what a goddamn fucking snake he must be to do this. To deny that the disease exists, and then when it becomes impossible to deny that it exists, he turns around and blames China. And then, even when he acknowledges that it's a problem and it's damaging the society, he's turning in town telling his followers to violate, quarantine, social distancing, simple things that you could do to not have this get worse. As the bourgeoisie are scrambling to try to deal with this, outbreak because they have bungled it so badly, he's standing there making it worse. JFK, I firmly believe, was assassinated by the CIA because he didn't want to do the war in Vietnam. And it's interesting to look at them that they're willing to kill JFK just so they can have a war for profit and to undermine the spreading influence of the Soviet Union. But they're willing to let this idiot completely self-destruct, like just completely destroy the country. It's absolutely insane. And let me backtrack a bit. I think there is something significant that needs to be said about COVID-19. Oh, it's just a plot to just take martial law. Oh, it's just the communists trying to take over. No. Look at all the previous diseases that did exist, were a threat, but turned out not to be as big a threat as they could have been. SARS, MRSA, Ebola, etc. And 24 hours a day, the news media went out trying to scare us. And the bourgeoisie and the representatives in the capitalist class were telling us how bad it was and how we even have to, and how bad it could be and destroy us. But look at this situation. With COVID-19, they're essentially, not Trump, but the system in general is telling us, oh, it's going to be okay. We're gonna be returning to normal. The lockdown's going to end soon. We'll get through this. We'll be fine. They're doing the opposite of trying to scare us. They're trying to tell us that everything is going to be okay. For them to do such a significant 180 on this, to go from constantly trying to scare us to telling us that everything is fine, everything is going to be okay, don't worry about it. That's significant in itself. That means they know something we don't. I suspect they know that this is worse than they're actually telling us. But to get back to Trump, there has to come a point. I know a lot of people aren't going to like me saying this, but if this is your supposed first world revolutionary working class, you get half of them on an absolute path of suicide. You've got the kind that, like Trump, that are just so stupid that they are a threat to themselves and society as a whole. Normally, people are locked up for being this much of a danger to the public. Think about that. And then you've got too many people on the left going, oh, this is just a plot to install martial law. No, this actually is an emergency. Do I like fascist measures? No, I don't. But we wouldn't need them if people would just stop being stupid. This actually is an emergency. This actually is an incredibly dangerous situation. They don't do these things lightly. The capitalist class, the ruling class, whatever you want to call it, haven't put through these measures for simply just to grab power. There's no need to do so. They've already got it. In America, where the most incompetent president that has ever existed has such high support, exactly what fascism would need to be done to control the population at this point. You've got, to use a colorful expression, them lining up at the trains to go towards the death camps. I'm not claiming that Trump is going to build death camps to kill people. I'm saying this is almost like watching the same kind of thing, the same kind of horror show. And all of it based on stupidity. I think the question is, if people keep claiming that the working class in the first world, particularly the United States, is revolutionary, you tell me, when is enough enough? How much danger does this idiot have to put the world in, to put the United States in? How many Americans have to die before they actually do something about this guy? How many people have to lose their jobs? How many people have to drop out of the middle class to the lumpen in order for them to finally do something? And we just see the ones that even care to any significant degree lining up behind Bernie Sanders and him sheepdogging for the Democrats. And I kept fucking telling people over and over again, no, Bernie is not revolutionary. No, he's not going to make things more revolutionary. Oh, if we vote for Bernie Sanders, then they'll start liking other, like socialistic-y idea. It doesn't work like that. It has never worked like that, and it will never work like that. It has never been the case. I mean, I can point to Lenin on the Second International all I want. Motherfuckers don't listen. There's something very uniquely wrong with the American people at this point. And maybe there always was. I can't think of any other country where this kind of incompetence is not only tolerated, but defended by a significant portion of the population. It has always been true that each country has had its own particular material conditions, and that building revolution in any of them would require an analysis of those material conditions. But what is it going to take? Capitalism in its normal functioning by itself is enough to justify revolution and enough to spur on revolutionary fervor according to first worldist ideology. Yet we don't see it. Ever. What's it going to take? Does Trump have to walk into your home and shoot your children dead in order for you to be angry enough about what's going on to do something about it? And God knows the freaking Trumpers would probably end up supporting him. Like Trump said, he could probably shoot somebody in the middle of Times Square, whatever, New York, and he'd get away with it. And I believe he would. And I believe he would still be supported by the Trumpers. I keep being amazed by the mentality of the American people, and not just the unwillingness to be angry enough about what's going on, but to keep going on with so much complete insanity. I remember when Obama ran for president the first time and he said, hey, maybe people should be able to see a doctor. And they started screaming death camps. And that if Obama gets elected, it's literally going to be the end of days and Satan is going to rise up and fuck himself in the ass or something. I don't know. And what complete nonsense that was. And here you have somebody 1,000 times worse than Obama ever was, in terms of leadership and in terms of competency at their job. And you've got those same people that were screaming bloody murder. The Nazis were coming back, lining up behind a guy who actually is putting through Nazi-ish kind of things. Although I could never imagine Hitler being as incompetent as Trump is. And still they don't do anything. When it comes to trying to analyze the American people, maybe I'm stumped. Because I can't think of any other group of people in the world that would put up with such incompetence. You know what? I don't even know what to think anymore.
Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.